That will include a standard bike lane. It will be outside the parking, 5 feet wide stripes. Over to the east on K Street, from 2nd Street to 6th, and we're studying to try to get it over as far west as 1st Street. Those will be standard bike lanes. K Street's a little bit narrower there. That's all we can fit in. Our priority and what we'd like to put in are protected wherever possible, which brings us to this section of K Street Northwest, which is wider. It's 50 feet wide. And on page 8, there's a cross-section of the existing conditions. So it's out there now. And there are 2 distinct sections. There's a section between North Capitol and 3rd Street, where essentially off-peak, you have 2 travel lanes and 2 parking lanes. During peak hour, there are 2 travel lanes in each direction. From 3rd to 7th, basically you have a travel lane in each direction, full-time parking, and bike lanes. They do go away at the intersections of bike lanes to make room for turn lanes. So the following page, page 9, is the proposal that we're thinking about for the section between North Capitol and 7th, which would be curbside bike lanes. You'd have a buffer with some sort of physical raised element. Could be flex posts or planters, could be curbing, that is yet to be determined. There would be parking, but there would only be parking on one side of the road. It would be full time, and there would be 2 travel lanes, and the other side of the road again would have a bike way in the direction of traffic with buffer and physical protection. So that's kind of mid-block. At the intersections where we see a lot of turns for vehicles, we would pull back the parking a little bit to make room for a turn lane to make sure that traffic keeps flowing. The following page shows the plan view of a couple of concepts we did. Right now, we're just at the conceptual stage as part of the study we conducted. There's an option on top that shows bike lanes protected again on the curb side. It's got 2 travel lanes, a turn lane, and a center median. That option would have no parking along this section of K Street. The bottom section shows, again, the protected bike lanes. You would have 1 row of parking and 2 travel lanes and turn lanes where necessary. So, final page is just my contact information. Also, my colleague, Will Hansfield, who is working on this project with me, and I would like to answer any questions that you may have.
Any questions from the commission?
So, thank you for your diligent work on this. We've been hearing for years the concerns of bicyclists trying to make sure this section of our jurisdiction, and I know that our transportation committee spent a good hour reviewing the plans that would be provided. There were a couple of specific questions, and we did have, I noted that a couple of locations it looked like bike boxes were missing, especially westbound at 3rd Street. So at least in the version of the plan that we have been presenting.
Yeah, the conceptual plans.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly details like that we would need to add in later on.
So, but some intersections had them already, and
I see.
I guess what I'm hearing from you is that it's not fully fleshed out.
Yes.
and
Well,
there's
this is still very preliminary. We haven't
Okay.
gotten into detailed design, so we've been looking at
we
those.
shouldn't fuss about those.
Right,
quite yet.
we're in the sort of feet, when we get down to inches, then that type of stuff will definitely be in the plans, and a lot of people will be looking at.
As you know, because I've worked with you guys before, and trying to debug some of these things, and there were a couple of things that were of concern, but we'll hope that the further iteration will be clarified. There was an expression by Commissioner Marriott in the City Road District. This is mostly located, but also partially in Commissioner Rogers' jurisdiction. That where there are a couple of blocks where it's suggested that parking could be maintained. I think it was on 100 and 400 blocks. I'm not mistaken that option was attractive. Trying to balance the needs between providing the bicycle infrastructure and some limited amount of parking will still be available there. And then I had one concern which apparently some bicyclists aren't as concerned about, but it always bothers me as a driver when you go from an area where you do have bike infrastructure to suddenly where it disappears. So, for example, going southbound 7th Street and you pass M Street, all of a sudden the bicycle lane disappears, and you're then in a sharing situation, but there is no clear signage, warning people that that's going to be happening there. So that occurs at westbound at 6th Street, because that last block, there is no infrastructure there. So to me, that's a red flag, that you need to make sure that people are warned that you get a change in conditions in that following block, and that drivers need to be especially careful about interacting and sharing the road with bicyclists. But I'd also like you to have that in mind for some, hopefully some corrections that you can do at 7th and M, because that is something that I know that I experience, trepidation when I'm driving through that.
We do have some preliminary plans for 7th Street south of them. We just have a little more analysis we have to do. Maybe that's something we could come back and talk about.
But-
Take it out the
but-
K
but-
anyway.
But in the meantime, just be aware
Yes.
that, at minimum, some signage when you have those transitions would be very helpful. I mean, sometimes, I don't even think that on that stretch of 7th Street, you've even got the sharrows on the street, so it's just like, there's nothing to
They
go.
may have been there at one time, but that's concrete, where it goes to, where the bike lanes go away, it becomes concrete roadway, and the pavement markings don't stick very well, they don't stick very long. It's one of the problems.
So again, that's, trying to look out for bicyclists here, even though I'm not a bicyclist myself.
Thanks, what are the odds that we would get an actual curb separation as opposed to the bollards, and in other projects as well, what are the
Yeah.
considerations given to that?
Well, it used to be more difficult for us to do that, but actually this morning, we took delivery of 70 precast concrete curbs for 2nd Street Southwest over by the soccer stadium. So we're trying to be able to have that capability within DDOT, that we can put these in.
Is it primarily just a cost consideration, or what are the,
Well, it's cost, but it's also the dimensions, if we have enough room, if you walk right First Street next to the Burnham Wall of Union Station, we have a 1-foot buffer. They don't sell the concrete, you can't put the curb section that you see in the northern portion of First Street, you can't put it there. So we use the flex posts and the rubber wheel stops. Where we have 18 inches minimum, we can then go with an actual precast concrete barrier. 2 feet's even better, 3 feet's even better, but it all depends. Every road has got a different dimension, and makes it sometimes, we have to, cut it close to fit it in, and that makes it hard to put in that type of barrier. But we're getting a lot of requests to harden, as people say, these protections for the cyclists, and so we're hearing that, and we're moving forward.
to that end, do you have what you consider a gold standard for the separation, given the, sufficient space? What are you shooting for in best?
Well, if it's against the curb and there's no parking, then, a minimum 2-foot concrete precast like is on First Street is probably what we would say would be ideal. But some of the situations are where we have the parked cars protecting the cycle track, as on 15th Street Northwest. So that works really well too, because that's even better than a 7-inch high piece of concrete in terms of protecting the cyclists. So we do a little bit of both on the upper section of 15th, where we rebuilt that near W in New Hampshire, where we have actually some concrete little medians, and then the cars park outside of that. So that would maybe, I think that's probably our most fully designed bike facility in the city in terms of the ground up, where we put lots of things in that design. So we certainly would want, we hate to go down to minimum buffer width because it reduces our options. Yeah.
One more question? She raised her hand first, maybe Alex. Go ahead.
Oh, can I ask, so what happens where you let out a Mount Vernon, like in places like Alex was saying?
Yeah.
Because I try to bike, but that area when it goes there, it gets really scary. I'll never know what to do. And so what happens when you have like protected bike lanes and then you have tons of people pouring into those intersections?
Well, we know Mount Vernon is a challenge. We've also been looking at 6th and 9th Street Northwest. But I think around Mount Vernon Square, we would probably provide something at least
Something
on
to get around
6th,
to the
up
other
to
side.
L or M that you can connect
Or on New York,
westward.
there's a lane.
Yeah, find another path.
Just getting across it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would have to work with our signals team and maybe Derek can speak to this, but we could create, special phases for our signals to cross. They don't need that much time to make these squeeze sessions. Any thoughts on that? I'm not familiar with this. It's a cluster. That's why it's, yeah, it's a lot of cluster. But yeah, no, those are good questions because that's where the challenge is. You're doing great and then also you get to a very difficult intersection.
Yeah, and then
Yeah,
everyone's
we're aware.
doing something different.
Yeah,
And
there's
the
right
cars don't
turns.
know what to do, and people don't know what to do, and the bicyclists listen, and everyone is kind of.
No, it's a good question.
Alex Lopez.
Good evening, my name's Alex Lopez, I'm the chair of the transportation committee for this ANC. And we spent some time at our last meeting discussing the plans that were given to us, and I think in addition to what Commissioner Padro brought up, I just wanted to express that the committee has initially optimistic about this plan. We identified that there is a lack of east-west bike connectivity in the city across North Capitol Street. The committee also, I think, favors the option that would preserve parking on the south side for the 2 blocks, the 400 block and the unit block, I believe. There were a couple issues that I wanted to bring up. One is to think about bicycle connections. So there's a number of good connection points that could be made. For example, connecting to the New York Avenue, 9th Street Northwest bike lanes that go southwest. Connection to the bike lanes on 4th Street that begin at 5th and L going northbound. Connections to eastern downtown protected bike lanes on 6th Street and 9th Street. In addition, we wanted to echo some concerns about barriers. The barriers need to be more sufficient than flex posts, which we've seen on 1st Street Northeast and M Street Northeast to be insufficient to keep traffic out of the protected bike lanes. We would like to ask that there be leading for pedestrian intervals at each of the crossings, especially going across North Capitol Street where there is a lot of conflict between pedestrians and bicyclists crossing that street and cars taking a left turn. We would like to see the addition of at least one Capitol bike share station on this corridor. Right now there's a kind of a big bike share dock desert between New Jersey Avenue and Northwest and 6th Street Northeast. And with the additional bike traffic that we expect from this project, we'll need more bike shares. We have some concerns about what we're going to do with the bus stops on K Street, especially for, so we would recommend that there be potentially a bus stop island to prevent immersion of the buses and the bikes in that area. And then finally, there needs to be some consideration for bicycle traffic or navigating Mount Vernon Square, which people have acknowledged is a big problem spot for all types of road users.
Thank you.
We have one more question, two, then Alex, then we'll shift gears.
Yeah, hi, thanks so much for the presentation. My name's Andrew Greenberg. I don't live in this ANC district, but I do ride my bike the full length of K Street, both directions every single day, and I'm scared every day that I'm gonna die. So I'm really glad to see this project moving forward. The stretch you're talking about right now, super important, should be incredibly high priority for VDOT to make a safe east-west bike connection. I would say, yeah, think in networks, we've got projects being piecemeal together, the full length of K Street. Out where I live, right by K Street in Montello, right where Dave Salavesh was killed, Florida Ave, going down. So you've got K Street basically ending bike lanes. We've got these pieces that don't connect. Why don't we just do the whole corridor and put the political weight that the mayor's putting on the transitway into a whole K Street corridor with good connections that deals with Mount Vernon Square. I think there's a great opportunity here. This is totally in line with Vision Zero, with our goals for shifting mode share from single occupancy vehicles, prioritizing low and no carbon transportation. And so I think this is a great opportunity. I think to do more though, and we've got strong support from a lot of folks along this corridor and going out east because it's such a high traffic, vital way for folks to get across town. Thanks.
Yeah, you mentioned 6th and 9th, so you surely can't expect to walk out here without someone asking how many more years it's going to be before the 4 years in counting on the eastern downtown projected bike lane study is going to be.
Yeah, well, yeah, we are still waiting to make that decision. If you want to contact your political leaders to make the case that one of those corridors needs to be picked soon, that's great, but we're still.
We being whom?
Being citizens and ANCs and.
You said we are weighing.
DDOT.
Okay.
Yeah, DDOT is working on it, but any kind of community grassroots support for this is very useful, yeah.
Isn't it true that you need a major recommendation to the mayor and it's been sitting on her desk for
There are a number of issues, but that we're still dealing with, but yeah.
Any more questions?
So the one thing that wasn't clear from the version of the plans that the committee was able to review was whether or not you have the bicycle traffic signals planned to incorporate into
Where we can, yes. One of the details with the way bicycle signals are allowed to be used by the manual on traffic control devices is that they can only be used when there is no conflicting movement when the bicycle has a green bike signal. If there are permissive right turns or permissive left turns, we cannot use a bike signal. It's only when the bike has a completely unconflicted passage through the intersection. That actually limits our use of them. We can use them, and we're working towards retrofitting 15th Street because it's one way it has controlled left turns. So that time when the red arrow is up for the drivers and the PED signal is up, that's why it says use PED signal, bikes use PED signal. That's the easy way to quickly get it done. But those are places where we are working to get bike signal heads in. But and unfortunately, it's not the same as a green ball for a driver. It's a different engineering standard, unfortunately. There are people working to change that at the federal level, but right now that's the reality. So we try to use it wherever we can.
Because one of the things that we did observe is that there, on some of the intersections, if you don't have a signal like that, it just seems impossible, based on traffic conditions for a bicyclist to be able to make a left-hand turn onto the intersection. So,
Yeah, those are some of the instances where we put in the bike boxes, but the bicyclists would have to merge out of the protected lane.
yeah,
And get in there and
taking their
act more like
lives
a
in their
vehicle.
hands.
And not everyone feels comfortable doing that. We also have something where you can cross the street, do a two-stage, wait for the opposing traffic to get the green and then cross again. A little bit of delay for the cyclist, but a little bit higher comfort level. Another option.
Hand it back and we'll shift.
We've had a lot of crashes of people trying to get from northeast to northwest and vice versa, including Malik Habib, who was actually delivering food on his bike from Chinatown and died in June using H Street. So we know we really need this. Thank you for putting out the notice of intent for the eastern K Street Road Diet. I'm really interested in how these two projects meet up and when they meet up. So what's the fastest this project could happen? And then the other part of it in east of here is unprotected. So how is that actually going to meet? Getting to the commissioner's question about how we go from protected to unprotected. Where is it gonna meet? How is it gonna meet? What is the absolute fastest that this project could be built so that it actually matches when I think that project will be built in June?
Well, the fastest we could get this in would probably be next year, because we have to design it. We have not done detailed design. We should be able to get that done this year. This has at least, I mean, the two options that are on the back page, I mean, let's get down to brass tacks. We're taking away all the parking on K Street, or we're taking away a bit more than half the parking on K Street. That is not something that is done quickly easily. There are a lot of interests, talking about trade-offs. There's a lot of work that has to go into achieving that. I think it's a worthy goal. I think actually the one that leaves some parking on helps with the traffic calm, because it actually causes a little bit of a shift of the lane around the parking. So I think there's some safety, some traffic calming benefits to that. But there's a lot of detailed design. I think where they come together at North Cap, luckily we are proposing not a one-sided street two-way cycle track, which, as many of you know, we have a lot of those in the district. And the reason we have more of those, I think, than on each side is that they take less space. And we're in this game, in this battle of trying to carve out space and not impact the other modes, the parking and the travel lanes, as much as possible. This option, both options, whether it's all the parking or half the parking, puts the cycle track on each side of the street, which means it matches up with the bike lane on the other side. So yes, you go from protected to unprotected, but the seam is a lot easier to engineer because it's you're both going with traffic on the right side of the road. So that makes it easier. The problem is when we have a two-way cycle track that needs to split and go into both sides of the street, that creates a lot of problems. It's not intuitive for cyclists to do so. So that's the good thing, is we're doing the cycle tracks on each side of the street. So that is something that shouldn't be too hard to do, is to get that seam at North Cap. And we would work with our signals team and our safety engineers to make it as safe as
So
possible.
I guess a year feels like a long time to me, given that in less than 12 months, 2 people have died crossing from northwest to northeast. So I just would urge you to consider what might happen in the next 12 months if you can't act a little bit faster than that.
That's just design.
We're gonna have to move on, to manage our time. Thank you so much, but we look for you to come back, get a
Yeah,
surprise.
we'll give, when we have detailed designs, we'll come back and talk about it, yeah.
Thank you so much. We have a representative from DC Health Link. Please go forward. Thank you.
All right, so I'm not gonna be maybe as exciting as bicycles and crossing into park lanes and traffic. My name is Courtney Kemp. I work for what you probably know, or maybe you know, is called DC Health Link. That is the DC Health Benefit Exchange Authority, is the entity that in the District of Columbia puts together the Affordable Care Act marketplace. Some of you know it as Obamacare. It is the health insurance marketplace that allows you to have your essential health benefits. It allows you to have tax credits for middle and lower income folks. It allows folks who are applying for Medicaid, the Medicaid expansion that DC did. After the Affordable Care Act passed, we were able to get the district all the way up to only having 2% uninsured, which is phenomenal. We're like second in the country, 2 to 3%. We're second in the country for the uninsured rate, which is amazing. But we still have those last few people, and we have a lot of people who churn through DC. So DC Health Link is what we're called. That is the marketplace. And the thing I wanted to let you guys know, and we've been working with the communities across DC since 2013, since the law really started putting the marketplaces into effect. We go to the ANCs, we go to the businesses, we go to where people are, we go to the churches. We try to enroll you where you are, and we do it with your help. It's we work with you to make sure you can identify your friends and family who don't have insurance, who need insurance. It's not just health security, it's financial security. The main thing for you to know is in DC, with all of the federal attacks that have been coming at healthcare and the healthcare marketplace, DC's taking a strong stand. And they're trying to stabilize the marketplace so the prices don't keep jumping insane amounts, so you can keep affording it. And one of the things is they kept some continuity around the requirement to have health insurance. It was a federal requirement, it is now a district requirement. So we want you to spread the word. Don't think that there is no requirement in DC. You do need health insurance, and we can help you find what's appropriate for you. Okay, so whether you're a small business just thinking about offering it for yourself and your employees, you're an individual, you're low income or high income, whether you're eligible for tax credits or Medicaid, we can help you figure that out. I'm gonna leave some brochures here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. You can call me, you can call our, everyone at our hotline and our website, which is dchealthlink.com, will walk you step by step in figuring out what's the right insurance for you. But the thing is, you're gonna need to have health insurance. It starts January 1st, it started already, it's forever now. There are additional exemptions for the lowest income folks that the feds did not have. We do not want to penalize the people that otherwise should get insurance, but we do want to figure out who they are so we can get them the right insurance. I want to just take 2 minutes to answer any questions that you may have about health insurance, how it works in DC. The Department of Insurance, Securities and Banking helps us keep down the rates, which I know you never think really stay down, so it's really our job to keep a stable market, to keep those rates down. But we are the ones that set up that competitive marketplace. We have 4 insurers in our small business marketplace, and we have 2 insurers in our individual and family marketplace. And we really work hard to make sure, again, that we're coming to you to help you make sure people are insured. We have navigators and assisters that come to you to help you enroll. We have small business specialists that come out to your businesses, whether you offer insurance or not, to get people covered in the right marketplace. Any quick questions?
Are individuals able to sign up outside of the Obamacare enrollment?
Yeah, very good question. So open enrollment is usually November 1st through January 31st every year. You do need a special enrollment period outside of that to sign up. Right now, if you just filed your taxes on April 15th, there is a special enrollment period available for you, just like if you got married, had a child, moved, changed jobs, and you got that special enrollment opportunity. Because this is a new law in DC, you've got a special enrollment opportunity right now. So go ahead and reach out. Also, Medicaid enrollment, year-round, and you would be surprised Medicaid levels go so high, particularly for children. So please just figure out if you might be eligible for any of those special enrollment periods, thanks for asking, or Medicaid. Anyone else? Quick questions, anything? All right, I really appreciate you giving us the time to do that. I'll leave some of these brochures here. It says small business, but they'll answer your questions about everything. Okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So much. We're gonna move forward, go to our number 23, as it relates to a resolution for request for MPD light tower and middle crime camera on Saturday nights. Commissioner Padre?
Yes, Commissioner Brown is not here this evening, but the commission is obviously aware of the ongoing problems that we've had with parties taking place in public space on the 600 block of O Street Northwest that resulted in the Bliss murder several years ago and have started again this year. It's been very disappointing to see the lack of attention that the district government has been giving to this issue. I know that Commissioner Nigro has frequently been tweeting and retweeting about all of the obvious evidence of public consumption of alcohol that remains after those Saturday night parties on the block. Martin Moulton also has been documenting that on a regular basis. When you have that level of activity and that level of people there, and you have alcohol, there's always a chance that someone is going to get hurt. And we need to get some additional resources in addition to what Captain Kim had indicated was a bicycle officer being assigned on one Saturday. It's going to be a long summer if you don't get these resources here. So I am asking the Commission to support a request that MPD station a portable light tower and mobile crime camera on the 600 block of O Street Northwest throughout the summer season, so that we have additional resources to try to dispel this activity and try to control it. One of the great things about that equipment is that MPD always makes sure that there is an officer there to make sure that no one messes with the equipment. So it's sort of a backhanded way of trying to get them to commit to having a police presence there. We're only talking about one night a week, but it's one night a week that potentially could save lives. So I'm gonna move that ANC 6E support a request for the Metropolitan Police Department to station a mobile light tower, a mobile crime camera on the 600 block of O Street Northwest on Saturday nights until further notice. And then we send that request both to the 3rd District as well as to the Chief of Police.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
4-0.
So why is it only temporary on Saturdays, and why aren't you fighting for something more permanent? Because there are gunshots and everything during the middle of the week also. So, and during the day. So why are we not requesting something more permanent in that area?
The police department gonna push back because of their resources. They'll state that they only have so many cameras throughout the city. That's what they told us, 3 years ago after the Gliss murder.
Well, you still need to keep pushing for it. I mean, this is great, the temporary.
Yeah, I would love to have it there.
But you need that, it needs to be brought up every single time.
Yeah, we would love to have it there the whole summer, because when that summer we had the camera up, we had no incidents that whole summer. But when we tried to lobby to get that camera again, they really pushed back, saying we had other areas that higher crime rates went up in that area, so it was more of a need in that particular neighborhood.
Well, the mayor's supposed to be putting in a budget for crime, to use that for cameras. Who do we lobby to get her to include that?
Start with the mayor.
Quick interruption, does anyone need the elevator? We're good with the elevator? Okay.
Moving on to the resolution recommending placement of new capital bike share stations at 600 block of S Street.
So I'll take that one as well, because again, actually this is an opportunity that was presented to the commission as a result of a planned unit development commitment made by the developers of the Perla development at the corner of 9th and O Streets Northwest, the former Scripture Cathedral site. They had pledged to fund a new capital bike share station as part of the community amenities package for that development. We were asked to accompany DDOT representatives and folks from Capital Bike Share to look at potential locations for this new bike share. We had former Commissioner Brown there, as well as Commissioner Wiggins and myself. And we looked at a number of sites on 7th Street Northwest, and from the sites that we presented, DDOT and Capital Bike Share recommended that